Hello, family members. I hope you're having a nice day today. I want to talk about something that I feel like I shouldn't have to, but after what I've seen on social media in the wild, I decided, yeah, we're doing this. Okay. So, backstory. I was following, or I have a lot of different queer friendly pages that I follow on Facebook. And I was on there, and one of them had posted some sort of like meme about the whole "what is a woman" thing. And I commented on the post that my answer to that question is a woman that says a woman is a person that says she is a woman. That's my answer to that question. And of course I get, well, actually not of course, because it's a, queer inclusive space. I really wasn't expecting, anything necessarily back from that. And I got men mostly coming in and being like, that's a dumb answer, that doesn't answer the question, blah 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 blah. And my response to that is just, why is that a bad answer to the question? And I want to explain why it is a good answer. So before I do that, we're going to get into my educational background, because it's very relevant here. I have an undergrad degree in biology, and I also have a degree in chiropractic from Palmer Chiropractic College here in Florida. That means that I spent years, literally years, learning about human anatomy and all of the natural variations that we see in the human population. I know a lot about human biology specifically, but biology in general as well. So when I'm telling you things, understand that I have a firm scientific background, and what I know is supported by science. My time in the anatomy lab, literally looking inside people's bodies, like, yes, I worked in I studied in a cadaver lab. I know what people look like inside and out. Okay? Okay. So, the reason why my answer, I think, is one of the best answers I've heard to that is because it's a hard question to answer any other way. Now, we'll go to the very most basic thing. Somebody may say, a woman is an adult human female. That's a turf slogan, I guess. And so then how do you define female? Female being the member of the species with the XX chromosomes? Well, that's not a very good answer, because there are women who are women, live their entire life as girls, phenotypically female on the outside, who have XY chromosomes. They're intersex. That happens. And we don't even have any idea how common it is, because nobody tests girls to see if they are XX or XY. So there could be a very significant portion of the population that is XY, and also women. Not trans women, women who have always been women their entire life. They would consider themselves cis women, a lot of them. Although I guess technically they're intersex. But, I mean, yeah, so that's a bad answer. Okay, well, what if you say a woman is a person who menstruates? Well, there are women who do not menstruate. I don't really think you can necessarily say girls who haven't started menstruating yet are women necessarily, but you can certainly say people who are postmenopausal that no longer menstruate are still women. And, there are people who have all sorts of reasons that they do not have a period. Maybe they had cancer and had to have a hysterectomy. I have an ex-girlfriend that's true of. I have another friend who had an extremely difficult birth with her daughter and almost died and had to have an emergency hysterectomy to survive. So she doesn't have a period. She's still a woman. There can be anorexia can cause people to have no period. There's all sorts of medical conditions that can cause a woman who is in the correct age range to have a period, not to have a period. So no, I don't think, even if you discount trans women, you can't say all women menstruate. That's just not true. Okay. And that's also true for, I believe J.K. Rowling's thing is the producer of the large gametes. Well, what about infertile women? What about postmenopausal women? There are women who are cis who that does not apply to. Okay? All right. So, we've covered people who, you can't say, oh, you look at their external features and say that's a woman. Because, again, we have the, okay, sorry, I went a little ahead of myself there. Let's jump back. Okay, so then there would be people who say, well, if you're born with a vagina, you're a woman. Okay, well, what about, again, intersex people? There are intersex people who were born with some sort of ambiguous genitalia before they were even old enough to know what was going on. Surgery was done to assign a female to them, and they grew up as female, and that's how they will always feel. And, that doesn't apply to them. So, no, you can't just talk about external genitalia either. So, what about people who say, well, you know what a woman is when you look at them. Women have a look about them. They don't have Adam's apples. They don't have big hands and big feet and short hair and, whatever physical markers you want to say, oh, that's an only a man would have that. Women don't have that feature. That's not true. There are women who have prominent Adam's apples. That's not a completely unique to males feature. Okay, there is no physical trait, none, that every single woman has or doesn't have. It's just not. It doesn't work like that. There are more natural variations in human biology, anatomy than you could possibly imagine. Did you know it's perfectly possible for somebody to be born with their heart just on the other side? We're always taught that our hearts are over here, or over here, over here. But there are people whose hearts are over there. And the funny thing is, when you're studying anatomy and you're studying things like the natural variations within populations, things about yourself that you thought were universal and normal, you find out are actually weird. I have this thing, you see that bump in the top of the roof of my mouth. That is not something that's in every human being. I thought it was. But then I learned I have a unique trait. And that's not uncommon. There's lots of traits that are tend to be one way in humans, but can vary. And that's as true as it is for women as anything else. Okay, so we can't use phenotype, we can't use karyotype, we can't use presentation is the next one. Well, what if she, dresses like a woman, looks like a woman? Does that make a person a woman? And I say no. Because trans women who are feminine, considered passing, are far less likely to be harassed in bathrooms, be mistaken for a man, even though they're not, than butch cis women are. And I think that people tend to forget that there are women who don't have big boobs or a big butt or, super wide hips. Those features all can be present in a woman. A woman can have big hands, big feet, can be tall, can have broad shoulders, short hair, facial hair. There are a lot of things that a woman can be and can have and look like, and there isn't any way to look at a person and say that is a woman or that is a man without any other context. Unless they're wearing a shirt that says, I am a woman, or I am a man, or I am non-binary. You can't. And that is why my answer is that if a woman says she's a woman, then I'm inclined to believe her. And, people might say, well, what if they lie? Why would they lie? When you're talking about meeting a person for the first time, never met them before, why would you assume that they would lie to you when you asked them who they were? I mean, some people will. Obviously, that's true. But it's not a natural impulse, I don't think, to just immediately assume bad intent on everybody you meet. And I don't really think that there's much incentive for cis men or anyone else who has bad intent to pretend to be trans women. Because it's not like trans women are just like stealth living in this society right now. Like they've got a big microscope right on them right now. So, I mean, that seems like a really bad cover to try to do some sort of harm to people. The people who harm others are usually people who know them, that they trust. Friends and family members, and we hate to think about it, but it's true. That's all kinds of abuse. So, I don't think there's any reason to doubt somebody if they tell me that they're women, and I don't think there's any reason to doubt somebody if they tell me that they're a man or that they're non-binary. I'm going to assume that they're better positioned to know what their gender and their sex is than me. And I don't think that gender might be part of my business, because I want to be able to, speak to them appropriately. I don't want to say sir or ma'am when that's not appropriate, right? Or captain for non-binary people. That's a meme, sorry. But I think that self-identification as a woman is the best determination. And I don't think that there's anything else that you can reasonably use that always works in all scenarios. I just don't think it's possible, And I also think it's really funny when you have like men talking about this specifically, because like men don't even take the time to like understand women. You know, here they are, they're going to protect us, but they don't even like know how periods work, or like why some women use tampons and some women use pads. Like they just literally don't even have a clue. And it's, yeah. I mean, right now, I am on my period. I'm like a little bit crabby, yeah. And a lot of crampy pain. And I had a whole other video planned. And instead of doing that, I, run into these idiots online, and I'm just like, I can't leave this. I got to take care. I got to do this, because you know what? My trans sisters, they deserve this. My non-binary siblings, they deserve this. They deserve somebody who is cis, who is willing to stand up and say, hey, you guys are just on the facts really super wrong. Okay? Like, really super wrong. Uh, uh the one thing that people really, I think, seem to overlook in this discussion is that while they may not have been very aware of what was going on with trans people before, trans people have been existing in our society for decades. We've studied different ways of treating trans people. You know, we tried the whole, oh, this isn't real and we need to talk you out of it thing. Found out that was wrong. Scientifically, we figured that out. Scientifically, we figured out what options are best to offer to youth who are identifying as trans. Like, trans youth, we know how to treat them in a safe and humane way that's not going to damage them for life. It's not going to damage their fertility. Like, all this stuff that they think we need to do, we need more research, it's been done. You just weren't paying attention, hon. And just because you weren't paying attention doesn't mean nobody else was. And nobody else actually looked into the things that you say you're concerned about. So guess what? You're way behind. So catch up. Take the time to actually learn about a topic if you think you're so interested and concerned about it, okay? Because you don't know what you think you know. But I can tell you 100% that science does not agree with you if you think that trans people don't exist. Science does not agree with you if you think that exposing children to transgender people or drag queens or something is going to turn them trans. The whole conspiracy theory of rapid onset gender dysphoria is not real. It's made up, it's fake, it's made to sound legitimate, but it is not true. What is happening to people who think that their children are experiencing rapid onset gender dysphoria is that their child was not able to trust them and tell them that they were having gender dysphoria for a long time before their parents ever found out about it. And so it seems rapid to them, but it's just because they alienated their child, okay? It's not because there's anything wrong with their kid or there's any sort of contagion. The only reason that we're seeing more trans people these days than we used to is, number one, we actually are paying attention to them. And number two, when something becomes destigmatized, then you're going to see more people realizing, oh, that applies to me. Just like what happened with left-handed people once they stopped trying to train it out of people, okay? It'll spike for a while. Eventually, it'll level off at what is a natural population, assuming that we don't, continue to descend into hell. But, you know, like, there is very strong documentation trans people always being around. This is not new. It's not scary. It's not something you need to worry about. So, I don't know, maybe that's helpful. But anyway, there we go. That's what a woman is. A woman is a woman. A woman is a person who says she is a woman. Period. And that's that. and haters can back off. I'm so weird. I know, I'm a little cringe. Oh, it's probably even cringe to use the word cringe in that context, but you know what I mean. Well, I guess I had to figure out how to stop talking at you. I got Casey. You want to see Casey again? Oh, it's Casey. He's fuzzy. All right, bye, family members.